Hey everybody, welcome to road.cc. I'm Dave and I've had the privilege of riding this. This is the new S-Works Turbo Creo SL. And I say privilege because this is, with no exceptions, the most expensive bike we've ever featured on road.cc. This build, £10,999 to you. A lot of the time when you tell people how much your bikes are worth, they go, well, you get a car for that, can't you, mate? And normally it wouldn't be a very good car, but in this instance, here are some of the cars I've found you pick up for 11 grand. So yeah, it's a lot of money, but you know, this is a lot of bike. You're getting a Specialized Fact 11R carbon chassis. That's the same level of tech that they use in their Venge, S-Works and their Tarmac and Roubaix. So, you know, Tour de France winning bikes. You're getting Dura-Ace Di2 mated with XDR Di2 down the back there, so we can have a wide range cassette. You've got Specialized Carbon Roval CLX50 deep section wheels. You're getting the FutureShock 2.0 here, which gives you a bit of damping at the front, these hover bars as well. And of course, you're getting a motor. So this bike uses a new motor that Specialized has developed in conjunction with a company called Mahler, a German company, who are a bit like Bosch, make lots of different bits and bobs, but they're also big into the e-bike market. So they've recently, in 2018, bought e-bike Motion, who make the X35 system that you've probably seen on bikes like the Orbea Gain and the Bianchi e-Aria, bikes like that. So they're already invested in the market, and this is brand new for them. It's called the SL 1.1 motor, and it's a lightweight e-bike motor. So it's a mid-motor system, sits here, drives the cranks directly, and it's a little bit less powerful and a little bit lighter. It puts out 240 watts, but that's the peak power. So when you see something like a Bosch Performance Line CX motor or a Specialized E8000 mountain bike motor, it's rated to 250, but actually the peak power is quite a long way above that, somewhere north of 400 watts. This stops at 240, and the maximum assistance you can get is 100%. So if you're putting in 200 watts at the pedals, it's giving you an extra 200 watts through the motor. So it's not as powerful, and that makes it more like a road riding experience. You know, you don't get a free ride up the hills, you still have to do a bit of work, but it gives you some assistance and it helps you round long rides feeling less tired. I'm on a climb called East Dundry, which I would describe as tough normally. This bike's making it quite easy. The system's really very simple to operate. There's just a little button on here to turn it on, that turns it on. And then up just above there, there's a little S button, which gives you access to the 3 levels of assistance. Really, that's all you need to do. But if you want, you can pair it up with your phone through Bluetooth and use Specialized Mission Control app, which gives you a bunch of extra features. Inside here, we've got a 250 watt hour internal battery. And this bike comes with the optional piggyback battery as well. So this is a battery 2, it's 160 watt hours, and it just plugs directly into the charging port, which is just down here by the bottom bracket. And then you're ready to go. So Specialized has designed this system for lightweight electric bikes, and this was the first one. They're also making some mountain bikes with the system too. And this bike in this spec weighs 12.3 kilos. That's without the piggyback battery, which adds just over a kilo more. Specialized says this is the lightest e-road bike in its class, and by that I think they mean that it's the lightest mid-motor bike. It's not as light as something like the Ribble SLE, which uses the X35 system. That and the Di2 build comes in about a kilo lighter, but it is quite a lot lighter, a couple of kilos lighter than something like the Pinarello Nitro that we've tested. Now, of course, £10,999 is the very top spec for this bike. That's not including the Founders Edition one, which was a limited edition and cost 13.5 grand. But you can get this chassis and this motor for a lot less than this. The range starts at just exactly half what this bike costs, so £5,500 for the bottom model. And even that's getting mechanical GRX and hydraulic discs and the same motor and the same top spec carbon frame. So, you know, it's still a top spec bike in effect. The motor has a really good feel. It's got a really natural assistance, so it kicks in very nicely, and it gives a useful level of assistance. So it's not a bike where you can just poke it up to max and just fly up the climbs. You do need to put in a bit of work yourself. But I mean, I've been finding that I can easily beat any of my times on the local climbs without really trying that hard. So it's giving a useful level of assistance, and also it means you can tailor a ride, especially if you're riding with somebody else. You can tailor how much effort you want to put in up the climbs if you wouldn't normally be able to stay with them. It's really useful for that. On the flat, obviously, when you're going above the 25 km/h assistance limit, you're going to have to do the work yourself. And that's when a lightweight e-road bike like this really comes into its own. It really does feel like a road bike. A lot of the time, when you're up above the 25 km/h limit, you really don't actually notice that it's an e-bike at all. And it's quite easy to forget that it's got a motor. You only realise again once you drop below on a rise or something like that, and the motor starts to kick in again. Now at that point, what you do notice is that this motor is reasonably noisy for an e-road bike motor. It's about the same as the Fazua system. It's certainly a lot noisier than something like the e-bike Motion, which uses a hub motor. They're normally quieter. And it's not as quiet as something like the Bosch Active Line Plus motor, which has recently been redesigned. But if that's not an issue for you, then that's fine. But if you do like to be out and convene with nature and like get into the zone, you might find that noise kicking in and out is a bit of a problem for you. But I've taken this bike around on big rides. I've taken it up the steepest climbs that we've got around here, and we've got some pretty steep climbs. And generally it's been brilliant. I've been able to get up climbs that are normally properly hard and make them easy. And I've been on long rides as well. The range of this bike will depend on how much you use the battery, what kind of terrain you're going over, how heavy you are, how warm or cold it is. But I found that I was easily, with the piggyback battery, getting 100 kilometers out of it with 1,500, 1,600 meters of climbing. So a big hilly ride, lots of assistance, lots of help on the climbs, and no problem with range. If you take the piggyback battery off, then obviously that shortens the range, and you just need to be a little bit more judicious with the assistance modes. Give yourself a little bit more to do on the climbs, but you can still get around a 100-kilometer ride even without the piggyback battery. As you can see, the Creo SL comes with a single ring drivetrain, so we've got an 11 to 42 cassette at the back there. I never found at any point that I was struggling for high gears or low gears, and I've barreled down descents at 80 kilometers an hour, climbed up the steepest climbs I could find. Never really had a problem with running out of gears either way. Didn't really feel either that the gaps in the cassette were a problem. I mean, if you're riding with other people, that's when it tends to become more of an issue, because you have to keep a certain cadence, you have to keep a certain speed. But a lot of the time when you're out on a bike like this, you're just out on your own enjoying the countryside, or at least I am, and I never really found it an issue. There's nothing about the spec really that I can fault. I mean, when you're buying a top spec bike like this, you're getting all the best stuff you can buy. So the wheels were great, the tyres are fantastic, the comfort for the whole bike is really good. The FutureShock 2.0 is a big improvement on the previous incarnation. So you have a little damping control here, you can lock it out. I normally had it about 2 clicks off locked out, which gives it lots of damping, and I felt that was really good for the road riding. It doesn't bob up and down as much as it used to when it wasn't damped. That's really good. So that's the Turbo Creo SL. This S-Works version obviously is the top of the pile, £10,999. Could I justify spending that on an e-road bike? No, probably not. But if you don't have to justify it, then you won't be disappointed with the performance. It's really good. There's a lot of other bikes in the Creo SL range that are a lot cheaper than this, and there are a lot of other e-road bikes that are very good for a lot less than you can pay for this. So whether you could justify the expense is a bit of a moot point. If you've got the money, then go and enjoy, especially the lovely paintwork. So thanks for watching. If you've got any questions about this bike, don't forget to ask them in the comments below and we'll get them answered. And like and subscribe for more posh shiny bikes on road.cc. Cheers.